what's the story with Darrell Issa here? What's going on? First of all, for our listeners who may not be familiar with this name, I'm guessing anybody in California immediately knows, but around the country, he might not be such a household name. Who is Darrell Issa?
Well, Darrell Issa is a longtime Republican member of Congress known for his partisanship, but he's taken the gavel of the House Oversight Committee since Republicans took over Congress last year. So he basically has the power to subpoena or investigate anyone in the country. And he's
for anything he wants, basically.
Pretty much. The Oversight Committee has a very large jurisdiction. They can investigate the government, the White House, corporations, other major scandals.
Wasn't this the committee where all the Clinton investigations originated, or many of them?
Right. You know, you had, I believe it was Congressman Dan Burton shooting a watermelon in the head to demonstrate, he was the old Oversight Committee head, to just demonstrate how Clinton had killed his own employees. I mean, that really turned into a wild witch hunt against Clinton. But the Oversight Committee under Darrell Issa has certainly pursued its own mini witch hunts against the Obama administration. But perhaps what's more interesting about now versus what happened in the 90s, in the 90s it was just a partisan witch hunt, 100%. Now Darrell Issa is spending almost half of his time for his committee basically working for corporate lobbyists. When he began his tenure as the chairman, he invited corporate lobbyists actually to come in and tell him which regulations to eliminate, and many of them complied and started sending letters in, which Darrell Issa hasn't fully released to the public.
Right. I mean, he literally reached out to corporations and said, "What can we do for you? As you know, what can I do for you?" As a big shot with a lot of power in the House of Representatives, which is now controlled by the Republicans. And this most recent and most egregious piece of this whole thing has to do with Goldman Sachs. Tell us about this.
Well, here's the other interesting thing. As Issa was inviting lobbyists to help him guide his investigative agenda, mostly against government regulators, he actually started hiring lobbyists to do his work for him. And we did a series of stories on some of the different corporate lobbyists that took pay cuts and then started working for Issa to pursue that same lobbying agenda under Issa. But we found actually one of the biggest scoops that we published today, and that's about a guy named Peter Holler. He's actually a shining example of the revolving door, because he used to work at several government regulators, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then he went to work for Goldman Sachs. Towards the end of 2008, he left Goldman Sachs, went to a lobbying firm. Then he went, as Darrell Issa came in January, was hired for Issa. Now it appears that he's actually helping draft letters on behalf of Issa against bank regulators on issues that are of the utmost importance of Goldman Sachs, namely the new Dodd-Frank rules on derivative reform, making sure banks have enough margin requirements to deal in this sort of business.
Right. And to prevent another bank meltdown, basically.
Basically, yeah, just to prevent systemic risk in this derivatives market. And Goldman doesn't like these new regulations. In fact, they're one of the biggest banks that are upset about it. They've spent several million this year just hiring lobbyists to defeat these regulations.
Right, because when they actually, they can make a fortune off them when they're going up, and when they're going down, they get bailed out by the government.
Well, the interesting thing here is that, for all the lobbying Goldman's done, perhaps the most important thing and most helpful thing for them is that Darrell Issa is now trying to push and hint that he's trying to investigate the regulators that are charged with implementing this new rule.
Wow.
And you have to look, if you look at the actual letter that's written to these regulators on behalf of Issa, it's signed with his name, it says that the person working on this issue for Issa is this guy, Peter Holler. And it's interesting because only 2 years ago, he had a different name. He changed his name from Peter Simoni to Peter Holler, went to work for Issa, and is now drafting these letters, basically making official demands on regulators for his former employer, Goldman Sachs.
And was his name... Wait a minute here. This guy was working for Goldman Sachs, under his birth name, presumably.
Right.
And then he goes to work for Darrell Issa to do Goldman Sachs bidding. And I think it would be naive to assume, although I'm not asserting, and I doubt you would either, because we just don't know, but it might be naive to assume that there won't be a very large golden parachute waiting for this guy at the end of his career, or at the end of his, couple-year stint here. He actually legally changed his name when he went to work for Darrell Issa?
Yeah, he's kind of oddly, he's in his mid-30s. He decided to change his last name to his mother's maiden last name. Now, I've never heard of this happening to someone at this point in their life. I've heard of people changing their name when they're teenagers because of, some type of, issue with their family.
Yeah, or divorce or something like that. They pick one name or the other.
Yeah, sure. And, I've contacted Peter Holler, and I haven't heard back. So we don't have that full story. And if he does get back to me, we're absolutely post that on the website. But that other point that you made about the golden parachute is absolutely pivotal. The Hill magazine, or the Hill newspaper, actually did a big story 2 months ago that didn't get much attention, that the top staffers running all the most important House committees in Congress are almost all lobbyists. Almost every single one of them took huge pay cuts to go into Congress. And as we reported as a follow-up to that great piece from the Hill, some of these staffers actually have contracts with their old lobbying firms or got bonuses to leave their lobbying firm to go into, working for the public, working for Congress. And I think it's likely that in these contracts, they actually stipulate that they'll get bonuses once they leave Congress again and go back to their lobbying.
Are we talking about bonuses like $5,000?
No, more like $100,000 to $200,000. Some of these guys, one of the lobbyists was making $1 million a year, got a pay increase, then went to work for, I believe, the House Energy and Commerce Committee,
where he was paid like $100,000 a year. So when he goes back into the private sector, he will have a big pile of money waiting for him.
Exactly. I mean, none dare call this bribery or official corruption, but I'm having a lot of trouble distinguishing between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I doubt the Supreme Court would have a problem with it, which is a problem for itself because the Supreme Court itself is pretty corrupt. Anyhow, Lee Fang, some brilliant reporting. You can read all about it at thinkprogress.org. Lee, thank you so much for the great work you're doing and for sharing it with us and our listeners and viewers.